Manchester City becoming the first team to win 4 back-to-back Premier League titles would normally be something that would be celebrated as an achievement, but unfortunately there's always been a huge asterisk around City's achievements given that they are facing 115 charges of financial rule breaking by the Premier League, and the case is set to go to courts in November this year. However, in the interim, City have now gone ahead and done something really big. They filed a case against the Premier League for what they feel are unfair practices. Now, in this video, we're going to look at what exactly are the grievances that City have, and also very interestingly, what it is that their owner, Khaldoon Al Mubarak, has to say about all of this, because it's very interesting that just around the time that news of this broke, City released interviews with the chairman, and he was taking aim left, right, and center at all of City's critics, and also saying that you perhaps don't need to be judging the club on, let's say, the charges. Now, that's a story for later on. First, let's look at what it is that has prompted City to start legal proceedings against the Premier League. Well, the challenge to the Premier League comes across due to two major contentious points. What are those two major contentious points? One is associated party rules, and of course, associated party rules in this case means getting sponsorship through associated parties. The second is the decision-making process that is followed in the Premier League. Now, we'll quickly go over in some detail what exactly both these charges are. Charge number one is due to associated party rules in terms of getting sponsorship. So, City, because they are owned by the state of Abu Dhabi, they have gotten a lot of sponsorship which is affiliated directly to the state, and recently the Premier League has actually clamped down on ensuring that you don't get too much sponsorship like that, because of course it could be inflated. Incidentally, a charge that City have faced multiple times, and it's one of the charges that is there in that 115 charges. The second is the decision-making process. Why is the decision-making process being challenged? Because a lot of clubs actually voted in favor of the first rule, and that is why it got passed, because the rule states, the Premier League, the way that it's governed, requires 14 of the 20 clubs to vote for any rule of that sort to be ratified, and they were pretty okay actually pushing this forward, because again, this is something that has become an issue not just with Man City but even Newcastle United, who, it is worth noting, are owned by the state of Saudi Arabia, or the Saudi Arabia PIF, the Public Investment Fund. So these are the two major things that City are contesting, and as I said, at the same time, you've had Khaldoon Al Mubarak come out there and take target at anyone who has been criticizing City. He's not minced his words, even though the tone he's taken is a little bit on the reserve side, but he's definitely a frustrated man. He said that, I think the referencing of the 115 charges every single time we win something is always frustrating, having it being talked about the way it's being talked about. And of course, the reason he's saying this is because every time City celebrates certain glory, the one thing that fans are leveling at them is, but yeah, what about the 115 charges? That being said, those 115 charges wouldn't exist if there wasn't at least some degree of wrongdoing. However, he went further and said that, listen, the case is taking longer than anyone hoped for, but I've always repeated that let's be judged by the facts and not by claims and counter claims. Basically, what he's saying is, let's not be speculating about what exactly the reason is that we're facing those 115 charges. Let us be judged by the facts. Now, the facts at this point are very hard to ascertain, but it is worth noting that City did actually end up getting a ban from UEFA for these charges that were, and that ban was overturned only because they appealed to the Court of Arbitration of Sport, and CAS found that some of those charges, UEFA had no jurisdiction on passing, let's say, decision on them, because there was a time period that had elapsed for them to actually take any charge. No such time constraints apply to the Premier League, which is why not only did the Premier League make the charges, but why it's taking so long for the proceedings to take place. We know that legal proceedings can be slowed, and when you have access to the lawyers that City do, they can do anything and everything to delay ensuring it even goes as far as making it to the trial stage is concerned. They may try and do something different. There's a lot of things there. It's ugly, but City are on the offensive, but whether or not they manage to get anything out of this, well, that's something that remains to be seen. But what are your thoughts on the entire matter? You can let us know that in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap that bell icon, follow us also on social media. We're on Instagram, X, and Facebook. Don't forget to download the Sports app, and if you're already on the channel, go ahead, check out some other videos we've done as well. For now, from my side though, it is goodbye.